Hello everyone and welcome to Game 3 in the series. It is going to be Game 3. Let me move around, remove some of this gray that's all over the place. Game 3 between Liquid Red and Quantic Sase. So far the games have been really entertaining, going back and forth. And now it is all coming down to this, a Game 3 in a best of 3. Liquid Red spawning as the red Zerg player here against Quantic Sase's blue Protoss. Protoss versus Zerg, and Sase taking down a number of notable Zergs at MLG Anaheim. Will he be able to do it once more at DreamHack, taking on Liquid Red after losing Game 1, evening up the series in a Game 2, and now forcing a Game 3? And Cloud Kingdom, one of those maps where I scratch my head for Zerg players because it's very difficult for them to really take a third. This third base off over here, even though it's not as much surface area to defend in terms of overall map control, because the walking distance is so far from your main base, stalkers can just blink up and down between the high ground and the low ground, constantly being very, very effective in their harassment. Alright, Sase. It looks like he will be opening up with that very similar build that he had in Game 1. We'll see if that is going to be the case here in Game 2. As, it looks like Arya wants to join me in my cast. So if you guys hear it, that is going to be my daughter. And yeah, Game 3, I am going to be a little bit more distracted. And yeah, once more Sase opening up with that low ground pylon here. He is going to be going for that Forge Fast expansion. Liquid Red is going for that hatchery as well, so it is going to be once more an economic game, and only time will tell what Liquid Red does in order to establish up his third. This third base is rather difficult to defend, as it is rather far away. There doesn't share a common choke point at all. It doesn't share a common choke point at all, as we are going into, I believe, a 17 Nexus by Sase here. Spawning pool already being placed down, and Sase should be getting up a forge and then a gateway, pretty much a standard build for him, making sure. And we pretty much have seen 2 games. No, it looks like Sase is actually going for a gateway first. So gateway first instead of a forge first, and this is going to be interesting. There's a forge, and that means that the photon cannon may be a little bit delayed overall. He will be able to benefit from a faster cybernetics core, but unless Liquid Red opts to train in a lot more Zerglings, the damage, or there is not going to be really any true damage, and that might be better overall if Sase is trying to do an aggressive 2-base timing on 6 gateways. Let's take a look at the natural expansion. Drones are being transferred over once more. Drones are being transferred over once more. You can see that the Overlord has made its way up onto the high ground here. We are going into a cybernetics core and a photon cannon. A little bit of an interesting SimCity decision, opting to sit this probe right there. There is one Overlord here, one Overlord up here, and that is a curious location, as any unit, once it gets up onto the high ground, will be able to spot it, and that Overlord does need to make a little bit of a run. Red now already establishing up his third base, and the question is, will he be able to hold on to it? Zerg players don't really have to worry about much harassment from Protoss players, unlike Blue Flame having their Zergling run-bys. So this may be a little bit easier to defend for a Zerg player against a Protoss than, say, against another Zerg or Terran. Drones are being added. We are now up to 29 drones. Zergling going to get taken down. 2 Zerglings taken down as another pylon added. A corridor of death for any Zerglings trying to get inside the main base. There is that robotics facility. Sase most likely will train up 2 to 3 Immortals once more. And once he gets those Immortals, he may try to do a move out again. We are getting in that standard 2 gas per probe, or 2 probes per gas on the assimilators. We are also getting up a sentry as well. And are we going to be going for an observer? No, it will be an immortal. as we already see Liquid Red training up and getting up his third queen at the third base. Will it be able to take, will it be able to mine up and pay for itself is going to be the question, as the one probe now trying to get away. Zergling's going to pick it apart, and that probe will just retreat and return all the way back home. Back here you can see a lot of drones just mining away once more. 13 drones in production, and Ret really hoping to take a strong economic advantage here. The probe already down to 5 hit points. Oh, sentries. Oh, beautiful play. The probe able to run all the way back home, and now, and with no observers being trained, this one Overlord will still be able to sit here for quite some time. I do question Ret's decision to go for roaches, especially when he does already see an Immortal on the field. And I believe with Ret's particular style, we are not going to see Colossi come in from Sase. We've already seen Ret go for Corruptors into Broodlords. You don't want to make that transition any easier by feeding them Colossi sometimes. And if you're able to execute and defend against the mass swarm with High Templars, that may just be better. Spine Crawlers are being added here on the front door, or I guess this third door here. Zerglings being added in order to swarm as well. And we are now going into, what is this, an Overlord up on the high ground, still able to gain sight and take a look around. One sentry now making its way over is going to push it back, and we are going into a very heavy 7-8 gate off of 2 base with some Immortals. So this is going to be a very, very heavy push, and we are now sitting at 47 probes versus 54 drones. How much damage can Sase do here? With 8 gateways, he's able to essentially warp in 16 supply every 30 seconds. Zerglings and mass Zerglings are going to swarm in. Oh, this is going to be able to catch all of these units out of position. This is no good whatsoever. Sase in a bit of trouble. Is he going to be able to complete this force field surround? No, he is not. Losing a lot of early sentries, but will he be able to hold on to those Immortals? Yes, he will. 3 Immortals feeding this all up, but this one Immortal needs to do a little bit of a dance. It is going to be dancing down to 36, 28 hit points. 24, still staying alive, and oh, what are these Immortals doing? Oh, the Immortals could be going after the roaches here. There you go, this one Immortal down to 18 hit points. Zerglings are coming back over, Zealots are now trying to swarm in. This Immortal beautifully microed down to 6 hit points as mass sentries finally going to be re-added. Sase, beautifully, beautifully done here. And how much damage can he deal here? The front door, oh, this could be bad. The front door is completely walled in. There are double photon cannons. Ret unable to engage. More units are going to be pushing in over here as well. Spine Crawlers, Stalkers, all the roaches are on the far side of the map. Cat getting caught out of position. Force fields are coming in. Zergling's not trying to swarm in as well. Half of the Protoss are, half of the roach army unable to engage. Finally able to get to the party, but there's not enough sentries. The sentries, no more force fields are being laid down. The Immortals now going up against all of those roaches. The Immortal being very smart with that superior range, backing off and trading very efficiently as those roaches do attack relatively slowly, showing why Immortals are so effective against them. The Immortals do need to back away. Oh, this could be bad here. Each roach is now going to just focus down that Immortal, and a lot of the DPS against those Immortals have been neutralized. Worker kill count 3 to 1. Sase is in a bit of trouble here. The roaches are at 1-0 upgrades. Stalkers are at 1-0 upgrades as well. Roaches, more of them are being added. Perhaps if Blink was researched in order to try to peel away and maximize that damage, the roaches are now able to just barrel in on all of these sentries. More Stalkers are being added still. And who is coming out on top? 53 to 46, 10 more roaches being added. And now Sase just continuing this relentless warping of units isn't going to be enough. More and more of those roaches trying to come in. Sase does have a little bit better range here. And who is coming out on top? The roaches still doing a bit of a push. There are Stalkers in the backfield, still with good DPS, even though they are low on hit points. And let's take a look at the overall losses. Red is behind in terms of losses, but ahead in overall supply. Roaches are relatively cost ineffective in terms of supply, though this is going to be a bit of a problem as those roaches are now chasing against those zealots. As more zealots are coming in, the roaches are engaging the force field. Not that effective here. Sase now down to 1769 supply against 121. The mass roach army of Red looks like they will be able to chase in some units. And this, my friends, is why in Heart of the Swarm, Protoss players are going to be able to recall units. Sase pushed out with a rather impressive force, only to see Red round after round after round of roaches off of his injects, able to deal a lot of damage here. And now, oh, what is happening here? This is not good. Stalkers are going to get taken down. Sase realizes that he is in a bit of trouble. There's some force fields, trapping a couple of those roaches. Sentries are going to get in some shots here as well. The Immortals could make their way in. One photon cannon. Is he going to actually be able to take down multiple roaches? Yes, another roach does get taken down. 74 supply versus 137. The warp gate is about to fall, and now we are getting another round of zealots warping in on the bottom to perhaps snipe down that hatchery. The roaches are still aggressive here. 1-0 upgraded roaches going to take down this warp gate. There's only one immortal. This is not going to be enough. Too effective of a concave. 1-0 upgrade, and now the immortals are just trying to push back at zealots. We'll be able to get inside this base here, perhaps take down a couple of drones. The drones are going to start to fall. The hatchery going to fall perhaps as well. You can see it's already down to 700 some odd hit points, and now the zealots should be able to even up the bases. And who is going to come out back? 49 versus 66. Zerglings are all going to fall here, and at least some damage was dealt, trading a handful of zealots for a lot of mining time as the roaches now clean it up. We're going to see perhaps another attack come in, and oh, where we go, there we go. There are those roaches. They're going to quickly fall, not being able to engage very effectively against Sase's larger army, at least on this side of the map. And now, where are these immortals all going to go? A large number of zealots now being added. No Archons, roaches. 10 roaches being added at a time. These immortals dealing 55 damage per attack. The roaches finally finding this toxic pylon down here. We are at 100 over 100. Red with a 36 supply advantage. Army compositions still slightly larger for Sase, but then again we also see 7 roaches coming out for Ret. Sentries are still being added. Drones are doing that walk of shame. Main bases are pretty much being mined out. The third base over here by Sase finally being established as the roaches are now charging up this ramp here, attempting to take down this last set of destructible rocks. And if all of those units do go up the ramp, the sentries may be able to split this up. There's the concave, there's the force field, and wow, those roaches caught on the wrong part of the map. 5 force fields taking down multiple roaches. Beautifully played as Sase playing much more efficiently, but the Zerg with much more resources to utilize is still coming out ahead in many of these battles. Sase taking a lot of damage on one immortal shield. Damage on the immortal shields always something that Protoss players like to see as they do recharge. Sase now only down by 11 supply, so Sase is starting to get back into this. We see infestors coming in from Red, and Red may have stayed on roaches for far too long and not going to be able to handle what is coming in next. You can see that the infestors are now making their way in. We are going into an overseer here, a massive army coming in, going to take down these rocks, and Sase going to perhaps strike where his opponents are not, maybe able to perhaps get off some force fields here. And here we go. There's a fungal growth onto some of those units. Another hatchery may fall. If 2 hatcheries fall, this is going to be problematic as the force fields are going to split up some of those roaches. What stalkers are unable, or stalkers are engaging, immortals are engaging, roaches are trying to engage as well. Drones coming off the mineral line, and Sase with a beautiful play, taking down and striking while Red is not ready. 85 supply versus 117. Sase down to Sase now with about a 40 supply advantage, taking down a lot of the units as they're in transit, and this is really hurting Red. Red really has no way to follow this up. Sase is playing this beautifully, and Red gives the GG here on Cloud Kingdom. Beautifully played as Sase takes game 3. Wow. I hope you guys enjoyed that game. I think Sase is just one of those players that that played very calmly. It really felt like Red had the upper hand in many of those battles, but in a game of StarCraft, catching your opponent out of position, like just 10 seconds out of position, and the game can completely swing in your favor. Sase, instead of attacking the third base, which Red was ready for, he had his roaches there, he had his infestors there. Sase attacked at the natural, caught a couple infestors as they were coming over, and then utilized force fields to prevent the amount of reinforcements. Anytime you can split an army in half, you actually end up losing, like, I think it's like 25% less. Like, I'll have to show and come out with a chart of some sort. But if you have 100% of your forces fighting 50% of theirs, you'll have about like 90% of your forces, and they'll have lost all of their forces just because the way damage is exchanged. A dead unit cannot deal damage. A damaged unit still deals full damage, as we saw in many cases with those Immortals. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed Game 3.